Okay, so James Cummins is sitting in front of me, who is the owner of a gym also called Elite.
Very controversial.
What's controversial? He's
from the Real Elite.
The Real Elite? No, we're the Real Elite.
I was just saying, just before we came on, we were like, we did form our company first, but our marketing was obviously so shit that you didn't even know about us.
When was that? We were 2015 here, so
2010.
Oh fuck! Okay,
back when I had hair.
Yeah.
Jay, you might have had hair then.
Well,
as
I think I did. Yeah, wasn't even in the fitness industry back then.
I still have hair. Fuck both you.
yeah.
Well, let's start right at the start then. Yeah. How did you talk us through how you get into fitness and where you are today?
So I'm 41 years old as of today, and
Alex, happy birthday, man!
No, not today. I just mean as of time of recording.
Right.
Okay.
I could have got brought out for lunch after.
Like cake and everything.
Fuck's sake, he came on his birthday. That was good.
Grinding.
Yeah.
That old trick, see if you get a free drink. Yeah. But so yeah, I started in the fitness industry when I was 20. Had a bit of a, deviant youth. So kind of wasn't really in school, did my leaving and all that, but kind of, at that age, got a bit bold, was always entrepreneurial. Was running underground off licenses and stuff like that. But when I was 15,
underground off licenses.
Well, I always had an old head, so I had,
at 15 here.
At 15, I could get served very easily. So
okay,
we used to go up on the bus on a Thursday. But honestly, I was always, and some of your listeners, if you have that entrepreneurial streak, it'll probably stand to you. Maybe not with underground off licenses, but I loved this one. But we used to get the bus up to a place in Old Bon that it was a very dingy off license, and they had this stuff Hooch. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember Hooch, yeah.
But there was a gap in the market because the 15 or 14-year-old girls used to love Hooch. They wouldn't drink beer. So we used to get a 50 cent a can, and we'd get 4 crates of it, and we'd have it. If you remember that age, you'd have to get started very early, so you'd be sober enough to go home. So that was the gap in the market. So we'd have it ready, and we'd fly home from school on a Friday, stashed in a bush, and there'd be a queue of people in the middle of the field, and they'd never know where we had it. And we just line up and load up.
He was the Hooch daddy.
Yeah, the Hooch daddy. load up my Man United wallet.
And off he went.
Yeah, keep a few later.
So listen then, how did you then kind of transition from the Hooch daddy into the fitness industry?
So yeah, obviously the Hooch daddy, led me astray and not into school. And I ended up working with my dad, who he was always an entrepreneur. He owned his own butcher shop. And I worked there from a young age. He always instilled the work ethic, but I hated it. And then I ended up, that was my job. Because there was, I passed my leaving, but there was nothing I wanted to do. I was like, it's academia, like the courses. I was like, I did want to do primary school teaching, but I didn't get Irish. So, and then basically I got fat because I was just, pissed off. So I was like drinking Hooch and eating chippers and working as a butcher, and I was pretty miserable. And I remember looking at, what am I going to do? I've got to get out of here. I was sitting in my car one day, and I was looking at taxi license plates. I was just looking at something different, and I had just started going to the gym. Remember, and back then, people didn't really go to the gym. It's not like the kids nowadays. You played football, you were fit.
Yeah.
But I found the gym, started doing weights program. I just loved this. It was like a meditation. Yeah. This was my little escape away from everything. And I saw a fitness instructor course. Maybe I could do that. Because I'd got stuck into it. Like in 3 months, like I'd lost something like 2 stone.
Jesus.
Smashing out of it, like getting way stronger, just going, what is this? And just said to my dad, he knew I was miserable. So he paid for me to do the course.
Deadly.
And I got straight in and was quite, maybe it's from the Hooch daddy days, but was quite a dab hand at the step aerobics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your grapevine was on point.
On point, But I couldn't believe the lads couldn't do it. And I was like, I'm digging this. But so the course director actually put me on to Westwood because they were looking for exercise to music people. So I got straight in there, and that was my first job, 20.
Deadly. That's mad, right? Because I when I done my course, the same thing, had to do exercise to music, and I was like, I fucking can't. You were talking about listening to music earlier. It's like, I don't hear anything. It's just a beat, and it's like, I'm like, this is a load of shy. Like, my wife's a dance teacher, so I was like, oh, she's gonna have to teach me how to do this stuff. So we're up in the boxing club, and I was just like, nobody better come in this door. I'm in the boxing ring trying to fucking do grapevines and all. Disaster.
If boxers are supposed to have good footwork, what the fuck happened to you?
Well, the footwork was alright, but I just couldn't get it with the music.
Okay.
So listen, when you got into Westwood, like, what was the training scene like back then? What, where did you go from Westwood, or what was going on in there?
I just threw myself into everything. I was like one of those, and we'll probably talk about attitude and employee attitudes in a bit, I'm sure. But I was just like, yes. They were like, will you do this? Yes. Will you do this course? Yes. So I was like doing everything. And I was doing a hell of a lot of classes now. Like I was doing probably 15 hours did all the Les Mills stuff, and then ended up becoming the studio coordinator for all the Les Mills stuff. But I just loved it. And I think it was the escape from where I was.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I was just like, oh my God, this is my life. I'm actually just training, music, like buzzing, and getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really 180'd. And it was like, that's again, it's kind of fitness like shifted everything for me. So yeah, I mean, it's such a good job. And I was really like I loved helping people. The training side of it though, funny, like, you know, it's so advanced now. Like all the stuff on the internet wasn't even there.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't
you know,
an internet really to speak of.
I thought body pump was the gold standard of resistance training cues. I was like, yeah, you cannot bench press for no more than 90 degrees or your pecs are going to explode or something.
Yeah.
Shallow squats, all of that stuff. So it was actually, I'd say it was 4 or 5 years in the industry before I actually got into learning about proper training.
So were you staying, you were kind of in that whole class, the class was where you were kind of making your bread and butter, and then how did you start transitioning to like personal training or more resistance training or that type of thing? What was the kind of steps there for you?
I was always entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So I was always up for work, always interested in making money. So I started doing community classes. I would be teaching Taibo, no joke. Like I had the Billy Banks head mic karaoke machine. And I used to have my own classes. So I used to do a community class. This is the funny thing because from business side of view, there was no marketing then.
No.
There was flyers. So I used to go, it was a clever way of doing it, but I used to teach the courses for the community classes. So they do the marketing for me. Then I'd do really well in the classes and they'd all look, but they only ran for 6 or 8 weeks. Yeah. And then people would be like, is that it? And I'd be like, well, I have a hall just around the corner where you can come. And I used to pack classes off the back of these ones. And I was just like, this is great. We're coming out with sacks of cash. It was just brilliant. And then I started freelancing because where I worked Westwood, I started freelancing in David Lloyd's. Okay. Getting good money. Like I think it was 60, 70 euros a class. Yeah. And Westwood heard and they were like, you can't do that. Yeah. I was like, you can't stop me unless you're going to give me more work, earn more money. And they were like, we've nothing going. Yeah. So I left and just went fully on my own. When I was about 23, that was. And yeah, it was personal training in people's houses, doing classes with the Madonna mics and freelance teaching all the Les Mills stuff. And it was a great old life, you know.
Deadly.
It's great.
And when did all the kind of the lifting bits start getting into it for you? Because did you kind of transition towards some of the Poliquin stuff and all that type of stuff?
Yeah. So there was a guy, and I'm sure people in the industry would know, Damien Marr. Yeah. So I'd worked with him. There was a great crew in Westwood when we started. A lot of the people went on to open their own gyms and stuff like that. Greg Marsh was there. I don't know if you know him. There were loads of people opening. John Belton. Yeah. He was, you know. But I used to love training. I went back training in Westwood, and I used to love training about 10:30 or 11 because Dambo, as we call him, he used to have all his clients in, but he was training them really properly. Yeah. So it was all like middle-aged women doing weighted chins, you know, 5x5 eccentric chins with weights and
split squats.
Yeah, proper split squats. But everything was like real systemized. And I was like, there's just a good buzz. Yeah. Because it's not a real training gym. Yeah, yeah. But you'd actually got the buzz off that. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, where are you getting this structure from? You know, because obviously we all did the stuff. And I knew he was doing the Poliquin courses. I went off to the Poliquin course in Sweden and learned more in 3 days. That was with John and Owen Lacey. Yeah. Learned more in 3 days. And I was just like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. Just everything made sense. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How do you structure things? And yeah, I went and did the level 1, level 2, then did our biosig and all that. Went over to the Poliquin's gym, did level 3 there. And it was great. And they were great people to be around. Like that was, you know, Nick Mitchell and all was doing it at that stage. And so these were all like now are people who are
huge in the industry.
Yeah.
And for anybody like, because again, for anybody of a certain age, if you're over 30 and you've been training, you know Poliquin. You've heard that, you've gone through that kind of, it was probably like the early 2000s, up to maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, it was all the vogue. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, who was that for anybody who's not listening?
Right. So Charles Paul, and it's worth saying because he was a controversial character. I personally didn't get on with him.
Okay.
Admired him, and I think that's what people have to be able. You can go to someone's things and value them for what they give, but it doesn't mean you need to like them as a person.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mean hanging out with him.
Yeah.
I liked him. Like, he was a cheeky character, but so basically I just saw the value in what he did. And some people who maybe did some of his course, watched some of his things, just went, he's controversial, don't like him. Probably like Andrew Tate or something. It's like they try and be polarizing, you know?
Yeah.
But he basically took the bits from all the great strength coaches and the great strength minds from all over the world, and he did try and make them his own. Yeah. But really, he was just getting the best bits. Yeah. From like the deep training in Russia to the Bulgarians Olympic squad, and he would just condense it down. So I was like, listen, learn from people who have learned from people, and just accelerate your learning way quicker. Mm-hmm. And I was very happy to pay for it. And I just saw, and you know what, for other training as well, my self-worth of training, because I knew what I was talking about. I'd done a degree, then I went back to college, did a 4-year degree in physical therapy. And I was like, you know what? I started lecturing. I lectured for them for 8 years. And I was like, now, Matt, back in the hooch days, when you couldn't get me to go. You couldn't get me to go to school, and now I'm a lecturer. You know? But I really felt like I knew my shit inside out. And you can command better prices. You get better clients. And that's where kind of things were really rocking at that stage. And that's when I kind of went to open the gym stage, because I was flat out training people properly. Yeah. So, but I was like cleaning the bar for these women squatting 80 kilos. In their garage, you know? And one woman actually fell off a chin-up bar, you know, one of the chin-up things that you
hook onto the door.
But here we get them people that are just afraid to jump.
Yeah.
She insisted on putting a chair. I was like, it's just up there. Just jump straight up. It's safer. And I was training it was always groups. I'd have like 4, and I'd be training in pairs. Yeah. I turned my back. She pulled the chair up and went from an angle. Oh, Jesus. So jumped and swung and pulled the thing out. And I just looked around and seen her land head first on the ground. Shit. That was my worst ever training moment, because she actually was concussed. I had to bring her to the hospital, but she was forgetting where she was every minute. So we'd be sitting in.
So did you charge her twice?
Actually, do you know this is session 10 to 10? And this is session 10 to 10. But so that, and her falling out, she's still my client to this day. She still trains in the gyms. And that was 15 years ago or something. Wow. You know? So she's like, bought me a lovely present. I just had a baby 7 weeks ago. She got me like lovely presents. It's just great when you have them relationships. But it was her getting concussed made me go, right, let's bite the bullet and get some proper training
equipment.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that a turning point for you then? The home thing was finished and you wanted to look at this more seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just like, let's turn this up, because I had a cushy life. But at that stage, I'd moved back home. I was living back with my parents. You know, a lot of clients were very wealthy. They'd go off for the summer. I'd had great summers. I used to go off interrailing on my own and do all this stuff. But I was like, again, I wanted to go next level. You know, you push and you hit a little ceiling. And you're like, what's going to be the next challenge? So I always liked, I'm still like that today. And it certainly was a challenge. Open a gym, I tell you that.
And what was your vision back then? Can you talk us through, like, was there somebody you were looking at and trying to model, or was this something you were coming up with yourself?
Yeah, so I definitely was influenced by Poliquin and the detailed strength side of things, you know. And I had we were probably one of the first gyms to have an Astro track in Ireland anyway. And we were very when I was setting it up, do you remember Joe DeFranco?
Yeah.
Like his gym. That's what I kind of wanted it like. And I envisioned I was going to just train rugby players, absolutely beasting them.
I think we all envisioned that at some stage.
Yeah, and it was all like fat grips and chains and again, you set up a business based on what you like.
Strongman yokes and logs.
All of that.
Tires,
we'd
sledgehammers.
3 puke buckets into place. Yeah. How not to make money, you know? like there's a high probability you're going to puke here, you know? But quickly, obviously, we had to shift it. So the personal training then was very much based, and this is, how long, 12 years ago? Very different industry. Like, it was way, not as mainstream. Like, remember the way people would be like...
still underground in many ways,
yeah,
wasn't
people
it?
didn't even want to say they had a personal trainer. And you were charging good money. Like it was 60, 70 euros a session. And that was
10 years ago, 15
a
years
point
ago.
was a lot
Yeah.
cheaper. You know what I mean? Like
Probably about £3.
yeah, you know. So but I had to shift then, because I was running a little membership for £100 a month, which was expensive then, but they got a huge amount. I would program everybody and it'd be like an open gym, quality programs. Like they were getting serious value. And we ran a little boot camp. Again, I was charging like £150 for the boot camp, and we had our PT. And I was running it all at the start, and then another guy came in with me. And yeah, basically though, it was marketing back then.
Yeah.
It was all really good. No marketing. No, so I was at the mercy of, well, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Word of mouth type thing.
Yeah. And there was constantly these moments then things would drop off and you'd be like,
What the fuck?
oh God,
Yeah.
can't pay the bills,
Yeah.
you know?
And basically, if you think what you were doing there, you kind of had 3 businesses under one roof. You had a boot camp, you had a kind of open commercial gym type thing,
Yeah.
and then you had maybe a higher ticket where you were doing kind of PT.
Yeah.
Was that kind of a problem then, do you think, in terms of a business model?
Yes and no. So what I started to add on was I would rent out. So I would train people up, let them work on the floor, and I would get them clients, because people come in and I want to train with you.
Yeah.
And I just get them for
Yeah.
them. And I'd fill people up to the point where they out sort of work their wages. And it made sense for them to pay a good rent. So I'd fill them, and I ended up doing that over repeat until at one stage we had 10 trainers working there.
Jesus.
Paying rent.
Yeah.
And you think, geez, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. Like,
Yeah.
because you would have people dropping off. It was, you know, the trainers will remember back in the day, it started getting really competitive. They were getting bitchy. I felt like just like the mammy and the daddy of the place.
Yeah.
Like, and it just got too much. And it hit a ceiling, and I was like, there's no room here for growth. And I made a ridiculously ballsy move, and just that stage I started getting to know about marketing. Your guy Thomas Plummer, you are familiar with him.
Yeah.
Went to a seminar you guys
Yeah.
did way back then, and I remember you talking about funnels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first time I knew it, but I remember it was really good the way you brought through the whole funnel stage, and I was like, yeah, that was just when I was about to change, and I was like, okay,
There's something
as
here
long
in
as I
this.
can market, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I closed the whole gym down,
Wow.
kicked everybody out, all the trainers, all the clients.
Holy shit.
It was, I don't know how I did it and didn't lose my mind. And I rebuilt, put in a second floor in the gym, built a whole new gym, no membership, no PT. Everything was under the one.
Fucking hell, but hold on, what's going through your mind when you're deciding yourself, I'm closing the whole gym? How did you know? Was it instinctive? Didn't you? What was?
I was sick of it. Like I had made a phone call to another gym just to take my clients, and I was just going to do that, make my money and walk away from the business side of things. Because it was, you know yourself, anybody who's running a business, there's a lot of hassle in it. A lot of hassle when you're dealing with personalities and staff, and you know when you're doing it on your own. And I didn't know coaching. I didn't have coaches, so you're very much on your own. Like it's quite a
lonely place.
It's
to
a
be,
lonely
can't it?
place, yeah. And again, it's great for you two guys if you're working together.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, like even you could be saying it's your partner, you could be saying it's the people around you. They don't really get it.
No,
so. And I was just like, well, look, I'm ready to burn this down. So I might as what's to lose? Just let's go. So that was another ceiling point.
And what were you really trying to fix there? What was broken, and what was the vision for the future then?
I think I had to get everything under. It was control. It was a control thing. So it was like I lost control of the gym.
Because these other trainers are there doing their
and they
own
were all
thing,
doing their own thing, working for
different
themselves.
qualities of service.
Yeah.
But it's still associated with your brand and your place.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm not having this no more.
Yeah, and it was just toxic. And I was like, I need an environment I can fully control. I control the culture. And that's how I set it out like that. And yeah, it was a really risky move. And when we reopened, and I had worked with a coach and stuff, but the model just didn't work.
The new model?
The new model. And
what
after 3 months, I had to change it all again.
Oh, fuck.
It was
what
nuts.
did you envisage? What did you put in place, and
so
why?
what we had was we had a 5,000 square foot gym then.
Okay.
It was 2.5. Put in a second floor. We had an open gym upstairs, right, which was £100, similar. We brought in a boot camp. So it was like back what I was doing at the very start.
Yeah.
And we had small group, 1 to 6, which was like...
I think I might have walked into your gym one day in and around then and seen that operate.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because the thing, was there not a karate or kickboxing or something next
Next
door?
door. Yeah.
My kids were going to the kickboxing, and I was like, "What the fuck is this place here, elite?" I remember walking in.
That's where you stole the name from.
What day was that?
We need a rebrand. And I was like, "What the fuck is this place elite in here?" I'm gonna walk in. That's what I seen. And it was like strange. He's got like small group below and stuff going on up top. And it was you actually walking me around.
Was it?
Yeah, do you not remember this?
No.
Yeah, I looked different back then, right? It was a bit heavier. So I remember walking in and going, that's strange. So that must have been the model you're talking about, that didn't work.
No, because everybody just went, nobody knew the whole group thing at that stage. And everybody was just like, so you have an open gym, I can go when I want.
Yeah.
And they were missing the point of, well, you're not, they still were being coached, but like, you're not being coached through every move. So everybody was just going for this.
Yeah. Was it a cheaper option?
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
see, that's always hard, isn't it? Because if you, like, people make this, we see this the whole time when we're helping people that have gyms, and especially over the last few years. Over here, they have some form of big group, you know, and then over here, they have a small group, and the big group is cheaper and the small group is more expensive. And you look at the two of them, they're doing the exact same shit.
Yeah.
It's like they're over there doing deadlifts and they're doing deadlifts. It's like, well, will I just go over here and do the deadlifts and pay you less money?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a kind of big mistake a lot of the coaches make.
And they're probably like, I was too much of it, still purist to be like, well, I have to lower this. So I was given too much to the.
Yeah.
So I just said, right, 2 months in, I was like, we need to change again. So I scrapped all three and just made a middle offer, which was big good group.
Yeah.
And that was then 150. So I met in the middle, and it was really hard because it was just like, you know, and I hate conflict and all that. I think I'm still scarred from all the conflicts of members. You can't do this. Yeah, like, it's not. You have to do this.
Because your clients very often forget that, you know, you're not trying to rob anybody. Like, nobody got into fitness to be a fucking millionaire or anything like that. You're trying to help people, but you got to pay the bills.
And I was like, if you like the place that much, I'm surely you want us to still exist.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to if we just do what you want.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we went mid, and that formed, and it morphed many times over the years, especially COVID was the last morpher for the better in the end.
Yeah.
But that's the model we operate now. So it's like, it's technically large group, but the structure we have on it is high quality. So it's I would consider it the same quality as like what's traditional small group training does, but we fit more people in a class. So we don't charge. Currently it's €40 a week. And they can go as many times as they want.
Before we probably move on into kind of where you think things are going, there's probably a few things to circle back on there. It's like, let's talk gym models for a little bit, because again, a lot of people that are probably going to be listening to this are either maybe thinking about getting into the industry. They might be in the industry, and you know, the traditional way of doing things, if you're a personal trainer, you sold 10 sessions. You know, Mary bought them, and you just hoped to God she was going to use them quickly. You know, not come back to you 6 months later. I still have one session left.
Yeah.
And then we've got the kind of boot campy thing, which was outside, and then we brought it inside, and then the kind of semi-private thing started kicking off. So, what are some of the kind of models and maybe some of the pros and cons as you have seen or you have experienced for people to think about?
Yeah, so definitely, and again, like my guys again they PT out of my place, and I just part of the bonus of working there is they get to do that, like free of charge, which is a very good bonus. And because I want them to do well, I want them to be happy and stay there, and I would give them mentorship around it. So the first thing is always price. So they're coming out of somewhere and they're just nearly everybody's charging too cheap. Like I said, I think like a lot of people charge 45 quid an hour now. You'd probably be more up on the standard, but like I said, the going rate was 60, and that was 12 years ago. And like that.
How has it come down? It's mad, isn't it?
Like, what could you get? 20 points for 60 quid? Maybe 20 points.
We're lucky.
And what could you get now? Like, do you know? Well, you wouldn't. Geez, you barely get.
I think it's, you know, I think we might have spoke about this ourselves, but it's kind of like the commoditization of fitness. It's like people can go online and download a program. And they're kind of missing the difference between, hey, listen, the trainer is there and they're bringing you through exercise. And as you say, if they're a good trainer, it's not just the exercise that you're doing in that 45 minutes or an hour. It's the whole package that's built around it. It's the coaching, really. It's the change that somebody's gone through that they should be paying for, not the lift that shit up and down that doesn't need to be lifted, if that makes sense.
It's the holistic approach of having a trainer that they're accountable, you're there to support them through like a tough time that you're getting them into. You know the tough times coming from us, and you can coach them to, no, you can't, you're not cancelling. You need to come in for yourself. And again, you actually care about them. That's the real value in personal training. You're not just, I did this cool glute workout with bands with Cindy the other day. So I'm going to do that with every single one of my 50-year-old
clients.
And look at myself in the mirror and then go, see you later. That's not even worth 45 quid.
No.
So yeah, what you're saying is like, it's a whole holistic approach. And I think when trainers value themselves, and obviously they have to value their work, it's super worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
So if you're thinking about personal training, then let's just take that as a product, let's say, you know, and whether somebody's working in a commercial gym or they're maybe trying to set up their own thing, how might you kind of set that up? If you were, you know, starting off day zero, you could go back in time. Like, how would you set that up now today for somebody that's getting into the industry?
So what I would say to guys is obviously set your prices as you mean to. It's not about getting full with crappy clients that are going to break your heart and leave.
Yeah.
So you want quality clients, and it's worth waiting for them. If some people are more comfortable just charging the 10 block thing to start, and I'm like, all right, certain amount of belief in yourself first.
It's the belief in it.
Maybe that'll get you going.
Yeah.
But then you need to get onto a monthly charge, and you need to get professional and start getting onto a Stripe or something like that. That it's not just, you know, this is my time, so they value their time. The other thing is being loose with your bookings.
Yeah.
You schedule them your time, and you're like, I have this, and this free, and then you're booked there your times going forward. Now you're cool about it. If something mad has happened, you shift where you can, but not, and you're not being an asshole, but you're just, people respect, like they just respect it more. Like if you were going to see your doctor, you wouldn't be just dropping him a text going, you know the way I was in a 8:30 tomorrow, like I'm actually out for a few points. Could I just push that back to 1? Cheers, doc.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it just doesn't work like that. So
setting proper boundaries and having a real structure.
And it's respect for everybody then. You're respecting yourself, they respect you, and you're actually respecting them because they're going to do it. Whereas if they get flaky and they can just do whatever, it's just not, you know, they're not going to get the results. So that, I would say, look at, you know, the timing. Does it need to be an hour? For a newbie? Probably not. And for your time, your value then, if you don't believe that you can charge €60 a session, maybe you're charging 45 for 45. At least you're at the euro a minute mark, you know? And you can put people back to back.
Yeah.
I would say, so that's on the monthly. I'd look at starting to put people together. Massive profit. Like that's where it gets silly for people, and people have much more fun. So if they can, you know, just, you know, actually not being afraid to ask, you know, well, my friend's actually, you know, she's noticed I'm getting results. Like, so rather than just going, okay, well, I'll have a friend in for another 45-minute block. It's another 45. Why did you come in for this? And I tell you, we can just knock his boat down to 40.
Yeah.
And next thing, you know, because time will become a problem. You know, that was my problem. I only had so many hours.
Yeah.
And I hit a ceiling.
Yeah. And it's hours and energy because like
flat out,
to train somebody properly, like this whole, you know, 40 hours on the gym floor, it's like, fuck me. You know, if you're 21 or 22, you might be able to do that. But
for a wee while.
Yeah, for a little bit. But you're going to get yourself burnt out rapidly.
How many hours do you think is reasonable for a personal
coaching?
Yeah. For personal training, sorry.
If you're doing personal training, I suppose if that was your only thing, maybe I'd say about 25 hours, I think.
Yeah, I
what
was
do you
going to
think?
say 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just the structure, and a lot of people getting into personal training, they're like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
You have the gaps in between, there's traveling to and from the gym. And they're the more tiring part when you're busy. You know, you have that 2-hour gap and you just go, oh.
Well, like the thing is as well, it's like if you're a younger trainer and maybe you haven't got systems set up for programming and you are actually trying to write people programs, it's probably going to take you way longer as well.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to account for that. Now you've got other trainers who aren't doing any programs and they're just like, right, what the fuck am I going to do here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like whatever happens.
Yeah.
But so I think that people don't really account for that time outside of the gym, do they?
That as well. So I would always say to trainers, like, have everyone has their own different style. But I would be like, just have a 2-day split for a beginner.
Yeah.
Have a 2-day split for when they get advanced.
Yeah.
And start to chuck. I know it's still bespoke.
Yeah.
But why would you not just have a system that you can go to and then you can make the system better? But then someone comes in, you're like, okay, I've done an assessment. Mostly it'll just be a chat.
Yeah.
And you know, you will slot perfectly into this level here.
Yeah.
And you've done it before, so you kind of know what to expect. And
if you need to, you can adjust on the fly with the individual in front of you.
Exactly.
But you're not starting or staring at a blank page for a half an hour wondering what the fuck am I going to do with Miri here?
Yeah. And again, just doing what you're doing in training. Which you always see. Like you always see the trainer doing some weird exercise in a commercial gym. And then you just see them do that over for the next 3 hours with every single client they have.
Yes.
And you're like,
why is that person doing that?
Be a bit original about it. These people are paying good money. That then you start looking into, I'd say, the nutrition side of things is, you know, figure out a way that you do that. And it's not these, like I would try and leverage, you could put all your clients into a group for accountability. Leveraging time is massive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're kind of thinking back there, you hit some there's probably about 6 or 7 big things. So we turn around and said, listen, be professional or be, structured with your time is the number one thing. Yeah. The bit about being professional is that, like, telling people this is what we're doing, this is when we're doing it. We're not kind of shifting.
Setting those boundaries.
Yeah, setting those boundaries. I think you said that bit about actually caring about the people, because that's a space as well where, there's some trainers and it's just all about them. It's like, what do they look like? I'm fucking big and I'm strong, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I'm just going to get clients, as opposed to the average person doesn't really care what you look like.
Yeah.
At a certain point in time. And then it's like that profit and fun, I think, is pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, though, that's been clear throughout your whole story there is how open you were to learning new things and investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned the amount of mentors that you had, Poliquin being the earliest one.
Yeah.
But I know that you've continued to work with mentors the whole way through, like, and Garrett White being one of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
How, what sort of an effect did he have on you?
Huge. Just around that, before we get into, there's a book, I don't know if you've read it, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Like, it's just when I read that, changed my perspective on everything. Like, so if you want to speed things up, don't be like, always go, who can help assist me with that? And it's not weak to have a coach. It's not weak to have a therapist. It's not weak to have, you're actually just being a badass and accelerating yourself. Because you can't, there's only so many hours. And if you're really good at what you do, get other people who are really good at what they do to help you.
You're not
everything.
So good at. Yeah.
And you will make more money.
Yeah.
Like, you will get return on investment on everything. So Garrett J. White, he was founded Wake Up Warrior. And you guys did some stuff with it as well.
Yeah, is that what you've seen it?
It's I actually messaged you about it because I seen you were doing something, and then maybe I googled it.
You
or
were
something.
at Warrior Con, I think, over in San Diego.
And I went. That was Warrior Con 1, and I went to Warrior. I sent you a message actually, and you were like, "Yeah, it's mad. It's not for everybody, but do it." And when I saw that, I was like,
"I'm a sheepdog."
I'd probably like it. But it's basically very intense kind of life coaching, I'd say. Life coaching on steroids.
Yeah.
Like, it's
from a dude who takes absolutely no shit.
No, and it was like kind of Marines meets life coaching. But it was super refreshing. I went over it, and it was all men, and we were pushed into a room, and you went through things where there was meditations, where, like, most powerful things I've ever seen, where, like, there was just the only time I was in a room and I didn't feel there was any judgment. There was no posturing. Men were just there for themselves. And I just thought that was so refreshing.
Yeah.
Because I just hate, like, being even in social environments where you're just like, you're just not being normal. Like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, we were doing meditations, and it was like down in San Diego, and there was this big, huge ghetto dude, like, numbers written on his face and all. And it didn't really get me, the meditation. It was something entering your heart and letting something go. But it fucking had an effect on him.
Yeah.
And we were like, he was crying, roaring, crying beside me. We had our eyes closed. I remember I just put my hand on his knee. I was like, "You're okay." And we're all brothers, so it's like, "You're okay, brother." And he just held my hand. And I'm like holding his hand. And you might say that's weird, but it's actually super refreshing. I was just like, there's no judgment here. There's no one going, "This is weird." It's just two humans going, "Yeah, we're both here to do something. You're having a moment. I'm a human. I care about humans." And the fact he looked like he would kill you looking at you. Would not, if he was in the toilet, you'd probably go back out. Or you're definitely getting stage fright. But and he got a big hug after. He was like, "Thanks for that." Like, that was deep for me. And there's just loads of moments like that.
He was letting out some fucking demons, wasn't he?
There was something. And then so I was just sold on the ethos of it. And then we went into it, and I did a super mad course, which was Warrior Week.
Yeah, what were you looking to get out of that? Because, like, all through your story, you've invested in yourself, and that's an awful lot of an awful lot of coaches wouldn't be willing to do that. So, what are you looking for when you're going and you're working with mentors like Garrett?
So, I'll be quite open here, and I think this is, again, personal trainers, entrepreneurs. Like, we often think outside the box. We're different kind of characters. We don't necessarily want to be just, I want to get that job in the bank, 9 to 5, just move it. We want more, But with that, I think, you have your turbulences as well. And there was a time, I remember, so we'd done all that mad shit, all the changing.
Yeah.
I'd met my lovely wife at the time, and we went for this dream holiday. So I was always into setting goals. So when I did all that mad shit, I was like, I'm booking a holiday for 8 months away, going to Thailand for 3 weeks. So I have to make this work.
Yeah.
So I was always into putting my back against the wall. Just about made it work. But we got there, and I remember first time we ever passed the 20 grand month was while I was there, which I was like, geez, this is unbelievable. And I wasn't there. I had people working in it. I mean, lovely. Well,
that's a real business. That's a real the definition of a business is something that can earn money when you're not actually present.
There. And I was obsessed with that. But this was all happening. I was on a lovely beach in Thailand, and I was just like, I don't feel happy.
Oh fuck!
I just don't feel any joy in this. And I thought, like, it was like when I hit this, when I get there,
you're always pushing success over the cognitive horizon type thing.
And I was like, I actually I'm not happy. Am I broken? Why am I not happy? It's just going to be one thing after another. And like, it's pretty sad. You know, I was like, fuck, like I've done all this. I'm just not going to be happy. And I remember that was where I was like, and there was one of his videos and I was like, I need to absolutely get into my mindset and what's going on?
What's driving you?
What's driving me? What's like dulling me? What's everything? And that course was that. It was just absolutely tears you open.
This is the Garrett again. So you're back to Garrett.
Back to Garrett. So
why am I fucking unhappy?
I went for the course and it was like, you have a month build up to it where it's super intense work, where you're actually deeply exploring yourself, like in a group. It's very hard to explain, but you go over anyway, and this sort of presets you. And then it was a 4-day experience where it's kind of like Hell Week, a bit like what you did, the Kokoro stuff. Yeah. It's kind of like that, but with every evolution has a deep meaning. So you go from like the first day, you were it was like marine stuff, and you were being
beasted,
hosed and sand and back in the water.
And you paid for this, right?
And you paid good money for it. You know?
Very, very good money.
But like there was lessons and everything. Like one of the ones, like I'm actually quite afraid of the sea and water. Like, and we had to do this water torture in the sea. And I was like worst possible nightmare. You know, you have to sit and you have to lie back. And it's really like horrible. But there was a fella beside me. He was a gas man, but he was freaky. He was losing it, absolutely losing it. Like he was going to quit. And there is this thing where if you quit, you're gone. Yeah. But I can learn the lesson of how much I am empathetic and like really want to help people. It's because I didn't have any fear. I was just concerned about him. So there's there was snippets in everything where you're like, that's a massive lesson.
Yeah. Do you know when I was down at so you're in the water like that and you're leaning back and you're wearing combats, right? Yeah. So the water's splashing in and out, the sand is splashing up and down. And for about 6 hours later, I was running, all right? And obviously you're dry at this stage. And I put my fucking legs were killing me. Just left and right on my leg was killing me. And I put my hand into my pocket and they were full of sand. And the sand was like basically fucking like
sandpaper.
Ripping the skin off on the inside. And it's kind of like that metaphor of like, listen, we're carrying around shit needlessly with us. That's doing us a lot of damage. Do you know what I mean? It's like, listen, put the hands in the pockets, pull it out. Fucking the pain's gone away. Do you know what I mean? So there is so much shit you can extract from, like there's mental experiences there's physical experiences, there's connections with people.
There's waves ringing you in the middle of the
waves
podcast.
ringing. Jesus.
But yeah, no, but I do think that like a lot of people look at them things and they're like, that's woo woo. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
I'd be like, if you go into something like that and you make yourself totally vulnerable, that's where you get to learn some stuff.
It's the vulnerability, it's that space where you open up and you let the stuff come in, whatever it is.
Yeah. So, and I don't think you can do that. You know what I mean? Like that's a lucid, some people do ayahuasca or do something like that. Yeah. But that's a lucid way that there has to be you're nearly beat down to that level. Yeah. And then you can be exposed. Yeah. And that's what they did. And then they build you back up. Yeah. So you learn all these lessons, you bond with sort of your teammates. And like these were like 16-hour days, multiple evolutions back after back. And then you kind of built up. And we went into a 90-day program where you set out all your goals for your body, goals for your mindset, goals for your relationships, which is also really important, and goals for your business.
Body being balance
and business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I set up my own course. I changed the names a bit. I call them.
Everybody does.
Basically the same thing. We all do. But it's good shit. You got to copy it. Everybody copies everything.
Sure, listen, when you look at Garrett's stuff and you start to see where he's taking it from, you look at Selfie, they're just taking stuff and he's just put a better fucking wrapper on it.
Same as what you said with Poliquin. You're taking that and you're distilling it down to make your crew feel what they need to feel from it.
There's nothing new these days. No. It's just, but and then that's the way I've been operating. Started running groups who also do that, like 90-day. It's like
vision building. Like you're always into vision. Like you have vision boards, or heard you mention.
So I would always be working off a 5-year vision. Right. That's a bit more like, it's not as factual because a lot can happen. So it's not as, it's more like a perfect day in 5 years. What does it look like? Where am I? And then that would come back to a year goal in each area.
Yeah.
You know, so you'd have your business goal for a year. You've sort of things you want to experience, a mindset, or where you want to be. And then that comes right back to a 90-day goal. And then you can get quite, you know, dialed in on it. And from that, then you just work it back. You have your weekly sort of targets. You have a monthly review. And I've been doing that for years. And it's...
I think where people make the mistake, isn't it? It's like anybody who kind of thinks it's woo-woo, it's like, well, without actually seeing a direction that you're trying to aim in, so you can't make a plan.
Yeah.
And then where a lot of people, I think, make the mistake is they have the vision board, but then they don't have the plan.
Yeah, so reverse engineer.
They haven't reverse engineer, which is exactly what you said. So they might, I'm going to do this in a year. But like you have it right back down to what am I going to do this day?
Yeah, and it's not overwhelming then.
No.
So if you want to do, like, you want to make an extra 100 grand a year, you're like, oh God, that's like $2 more grand a week.
Yeah.
But if you go, okay, I'll pull it right back. So this month, all I need to do is take an action where I'm going to research other things that might earn me an extra income.
Yeah.
And then it's not scary.
Yeah,
it might even come back to we need to make 5 sale calls every day and close 2. You know what I mean? It's like
simple.
It's like fuck that'll equate to 100 grand at your price. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
and you start looking at things. You're like, I want to do this, but I'm not. You know, it's not just going to be something I take up over Lent. You know, I'm going to I'm going to just stop spending money on chicken fillet rolls. That's not going to get you there. But like, yeah, again, you make the sales calls. You might do a price increase. You might up your marketing spend to get more things in, and it all becomes very strategic. So all these woo-woo things ultimately come down to. It's really like a science on a way of living.
There's probably some stuff now that you've kind of put a few things together there, but we kind of touched on trainers, and you've had a lot of trainers working for you over the years, and you've mentioned there's probably 2 or 3 big things for yourself. You said work ethic. You were talking about, you know, kind of thinking outside the box, or maybe even looking to other businesses or people that are ahead of you.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you think is making a solid trainer? What advice might you have for trainers that are kind of out there starting off?
For me, it's all personality. You know, as you know, you can teach skill, but you can't teach personality. So that's what I look for in people, like, you know. And obviously, like, we go to you guys for staff.
I'm pretty sure everybody you've got, like Kieran's there. Who else have you got? About 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah. And what I love about your course, and you know, is just that it's not licking your arses. It's it's proper. It's real. So I'm not saying these are, you know, this is backed by evidence or whatever. Yeah. I want people that you've been in, you've seen bodies move, and you've been, you know, like, and it's just even like you have that buzz in the class. You know, you see everybody having a buzz. Yeah. And that's what I want. I want each to be like a very organized party.
Yeah.
And yous are having, but if you can't host a party, you can't run my classes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So that's what I really like about your courses. Apart from, like, you know, how you teach a deadlift.
Yeah.
It's the interaction, and you're encouraging people to be outgoing and
it's the confidence. It's the confidence that comes from that, and being immersed in that every day. I think is, but that's a key thing you've said. There's like the personality that you have going in your place. They have to kind of fit into that, don't they?
Yeah. Like, that's why I'd be very straight. Like, we have so even after, say, we get a referral from you, they have to come in and be a customer for a week. So that also, they see that they like it, because if you don't believe in something, you're not going to be very good at teaching it.
So basically what you're saying is, like, come in and join the gym for a week?
Yeah. So
do you get anybody going, am I getting paid for this? No,
they're very clear about it. You just come in. We want to make sure you like it.
Right.
We get to see if they can take direction.
Okay.
Which is very important, because if you get Johnny Big Balls comes in and we're saying, no, we actually do a closer grip bench in here for this reason. I don't care if you do a wide grip bench because you're a power lifter. We do this because we're looking after your shoulder a bit better, whatever.
Okay.
We've loads of reasons like that. We're not saying nothing's right or wrong, but this is the way we do it.
Yeah.
And if they're like, oh yeah, cool. You know.
Yeah.
All right, good. Where if they're like, you know, whatever. Just like, you're like, you're not, it's not going to work well together, because we got to be able to teach you, and you've got to be sponge.
You've got a recipe that's proven, and you're looking for somebody who can follow the recipe and join in with a group and teach the system that you've created. Really.
Exactly. So, and then we get to see how they interact with people. So are they all about them, or are they actually talking to the lady, you know, beside them? Can they, you know, even if it's like a young buck, he's 25, and we have a 65-year-old woman, is he like on the level? Like, I always feel when I'm talking to everyone, I think it's a good trait of trainers. Like, I feel like there's no age. Like, if you're talking to an 18-year-old, on the level. 70-year-old, on the level. Same, you know? So you get to see how they interact. Then they would come in and shadow.
Right.
So they would do 2 shadow classes, not paid. This is actually still an interview. And then we know. So then we're like, okay. And then they go into it normally is a month where they get paid for training.
Right.
And then they can do it themselves. And they
what advice would you give to trainers? Because I get asked this all the time with the students coming through. If they're out there looking for a job, what's the kind of qualities you would like to see in somebody applying?
Okay, so definitely that you're a yes person, and that's not so you get taken advantage of or anything like that. But you need to be willing to work. Like it's a lovely job. But if I get the idea that someone's really precious, they don't have a good work ethic, it's just going to be difficult. It won't work, you know. It's just that, you know,
because it's hard work. Like, you know, it's enjoyable work. It's
great
rewarding
job,
work, but you got to put in the hours.
Yeah,
especially at the beginning.
Yeah, and it's not a 9 to 5.
No,
it's way better than a 9 to 5, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I could never do a 9 to 5. No offense to anybody who is, but I feel like jail to me, you know. Yeah. But so they get to do a lovely job, but you're asked to do things like, you know, you will be asked to make. Can you cover this? That's what I'd want. Someone who can just go, oh no, not the type of person who's just like, no, I'm busy, without even
thinking about it.
They have to be part of a team, you know. So attitude is everything. They need to be very, again, empathetic with people. You have to actually care, you know. Otherwise, you're never going to remember what people have going on in their life, which is a huge part. Because that's what we need. We need people to remember what people were squatting. But more importantly, we need to remember if they're having a hard time, to go a bit easier on them. If they need a bit of push or they're getting married, what are these? That's a good gym. That's a good personal trainer, you know, just a good person. Really. That's what we want. So yeah, good work ethic, open to learn, wanting to learn, and definitely not precious.
Gotcha. And do you find that kind of candidate coming through at the minute, or do you think there's a lack of good staff and people applying in the industry at the minute? Do
you know where we get a lot of our staff, and then we send them to you to be trained? Clients.
Right. Okay.
Loads. Like, because they just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
They're bought in, aren't they?
They're bought in. They're just like, this changed their life. Like with 2 brilliant new staff, and they're both mums, like new enough mums who kind of just, you know, maybe fell out of whack a bit, like, you know, identity, changed job, and the training was the 3 hours a week where they were empowered.
Yeah.
And they were like, and one of the trainers, she set up, we did our first, normally I don't deviate from our one program.
Yeah.
But we set up a postnatal course.
Amazing.
Because she's just, that's her.
Full on in
That's
there.
her.
Yeah.
And we did a part, like, again, I'd work with people, like I did a partnership deal with her, so I did all the setup and the advertising and she delivers it. But it's just brilliant to see that. Like, that's why I'm getting a kick out now. We have a bigger team. But like I can see people like Kieran, he's our manager now.
Yeah,
he's sound as
a year ago, he wasn't a trainer.
Yeah.
He's doing savage, and like his whole life has changed.
Yeah.
I was talking about the 90-day plans and all. They do that. So we work with the management team, not just with their business goal or my business goal. Like with they have their own goals. They have their own business goals within my business.
Yeah. So like the entrepreneur, or
that's what most trainers are missing. You can't go out and wing this.
Yeah,
without having that vision of where you're going and being able to reverse engineer, so you actually know that you've got a clear path and you're going somewhere.
Yeah,
I think a lot of them are missing that.
And you're going, like, you know, you're looking at your other areas of your life. Like, so if you're not, like, say they're like, indeed they're single. Well, we're single lads, but maybe they want to get in a relationship, but they're not actually saying that time. You know, I'd actually like to go on a few dates, but not get smashed for the dates, because that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, even the 2 lads, they both started being really good, because they're like, what worked last week and what didn't work? I was actually out in the lash Saturday and Sunday. Just can't hit my targets if I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not right till Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you're not telling someone how to live their life. They're going, I want to win.
They're realizing
this is not working, so I'm going to change it. And that's, so even if trainers are doing that themselves, I think that's huge. Like, you're just asking a question every week. Well, what worked last week? What didn't? And what can I do?
What can I do differently?
Yeah. Simple stuff, but like you just have, but I do think you need a group or someone that you can talk to about it.
It is like, there's 2 things there really, isn't it? It's kind of environment, but then also like a mentor. So you've got mentors, but then you're kind of their mentor to a certain extent. And you're learning from them just as much as they're learning from you. But the environment is what's fucking bringing people on, and you're all moving in the same direction.
So it's that, like, this is the big thing. You want to be in a winning environment. You do not want to come in and just check in, do a few hours, check out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that, well, I'm just here to work. I'm just here to work 12 hours a week.
Yeah, my shift's over. See you later.
Yeah. Well, I'm just contracted coach. So I actually am on staff here. So why should I care about anything that happens outside
Yeah,
that.
not invested at all.
You're part of a team, or it's just it won't work. You know,
Cracking.
when you are, life's easier as well. Everybody's into it.
Love it.
Yeah. If you were thinking like looking forward, so again, going back to that vision board, right? We kind of started there.
Yeah.
that might be the place to kind of start bringing this to a wrap. What are you kind of seeing for the future of the fitness industry, right, over the next little bit? But then, what are you seeing for the future of your own gyms?
Well, like we can already see the trajectory that it's coming. Like my gym, like your gym, we operate a bit different, but it's still like the smaller group, higher service, higher price. I can just see that that's going to.
Yeah, it's going to appeal to certain people, isn't it?
I also think that, you know, it's, you know, operators who are doing it well will survive. I think there's a lot of people go into it and just maybe don't look at the stuff we're talking about, like the marketing, the systems, how to train staff, and they're stuck in it themselves. Yeah. So I do think there's been a big influx, and maybe some of that will be the good operators will go stronger. Yeah. I mean, again, the PTs, it's a busy place, but I think guys who are, you know, taking that thing where they're not just going into it because they just like training themselves, but they want to make a career.
Actually help people.
They want to help people, and they want to grow themselves, and it's not just their biceps. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll win because the market is up. People are more and more open to coaching, hiring experts. Like you are the who to the how. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the business, well, like business is good. Yeah. After.
And I suppose really what we're getting at there is kind of the community and the connection. Yeah. It's the connection piece, isn't it? And then having, you know, the connection with the coach, but also the connection with the other people that they're training with.
And especially after all the lockdowns and stuff, you know what I mean? I think people really, well, I don't know if do you feel this? Because like for me, there was such a change in energy. Yeah. So much more positive. Yeah. Like it really was a breath of fresh air, I think, after. The whole thing was absolutely horrible. I've seen you a few times. I was nearly asking you for walks. I was nearly asking you for a hug. So I was like rocking against the lamppost. Like, so that's it. And then for us, we're growing. So we've got our 2 gyms. They're going great. And we're actually going to do a rebrand.
You're going to change the name for
we are. I'm going to get a plaque and hand it to you.
But on this date, this is my fucking name.
But we're rebranding with a few little things just to make us differentiate around what we do and make it stand out a little bit more. And that'll be coming soon. And we're going to do a 3rd gym, and then look at expanding into either partnerships or franchises. So for people who are trainers who want to go and move to that next level, but maybe they don't want a franchise like just an F45 or something like that. They want an actual training franchise. Yeah. And like that, we have the models that they're good, profitable gyms that work. And like I can be I'm also looking to move to Portugal or Spain.
Okay. Oh, nice.
For and that was part of my vision from like, there's something when I just love Spain. Being by the water, something about the lifestyle. Yeah. And that was like, you know, back in them warrior days, I was like, how can I create that? You know?
Get the hooch daddy back out.
Might start. Wonder do they have hooch over there?
You never know.
If you go to Portugal, what are you doing with that big Range Rover outside?
I'll be driving over.
I'm just hoping you were going to look at
it'd be a bit weird on that side of the road. You'd be driving around like Jim Carrey looking out. But I'll do you a good deal. Right?
Good, deadly. Yeah.
Keep me in mind.
Any hints on where the tour gym might be?
We'd be. We were looking at this unit down in Black Rock, actually.
Yeah.
But suburban. So I like the suburban side of things. Yeah. I think I looked at places in town. I'm not sure.
It's hard going in there,
and I just don't know that market well. So I'd be ideally, we're doing something to make our gyms a little bit smaller, so we can go on a footprint of about 2,000 to 2,200 square foot. Yeah. I would love like Sandymount, Milltown, Clonskee.
Yeah.
Renla, Terranure.
Somewhere in around there.
It's getting units. So, you know,
it's getting the right place.
If anybody has any nice units, let me know.
Talk to us.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sean?
Derry, no, I think there's been some great advice and hints and tips in there. Just learning more about that and the whole Garrett White thing, I just found really interesting.
Yeah, it's cracker, isn't it? And come here, listen, if anybody did want to reach out for you, whether they're looking for a job or maybe they're interested in some of these opportunities that you might have, where would be the best place to find you?
Just go onto Instagram. Just message us on Instagram. So Elite Training Ireland. Just say you were looking for me, and I'll give you a shout. I'm not a writer, so leave a number and I'll give you a call. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a waffler. I'm a talker.
Yeah,
you know?
good bad.
Yeah.
All right, happy days.
Thanks, lads.
Thank you
for coming
Great chatting. Thanks.
Good stuff, my man.